All right, Pangburn peeps, how's everyone doing tonight? Brit Bong, we waited just for you. We still got 15 minutes before we get started. I'm just going to open up my other streams here. Thank you guys so much for coming. Let's see. Okay, cool. Let's go live on Facebook. I'm not doing this live on Twitter yet because that's just too much of a fucking toxic environment. That place is. We need more of you guys on Twitter. We really do. Let's go live. I'm going live from Ollie Williams. It's gonna rain. Okay, let's go. That. I have a beer too. I have a Stella. Does anyone have a drink with them? Make sure you guys hit that like button. It really helps the stream out. We're going to go to this angle for Facebook. Perfect. Yeah, that'll work. All right, what up, Facebook? How y'all doing? That's my Facebook camera. Welcome. Come over to YouTube and join us. I'll put the YouTube link in the description. Yeah, guys, feel free to plug your social media handles on here. WHWWD and Philosophy says he is at the. Well, you guys can read it. He's the Odorio Bola or something. Feel free to plug your social media handles. You can follow me at the Pangburn on Twitter. I don't spend a ton of time on Twitter. I think it's a terrible, volatile piece of shit platform as it stands right now, but I do have some hope that if we can get more skeptics over there, we can start using that platform properly, but it's pretty, it's kind of shit as it is right now, I think, in my estimation. Okay, yeah, and I'm gonna give you guys over on Facebook the link to join us over on YouTube. Copy. We are hanging out in the YouTube live stream. Come join us. There is going to be book giveaways today. I'm gonna crack my beer. Sponsored by Stella Artois. No, it's not. I wish. I wonder if a beer company has ever sponsored someone that does something like this, or like an intellectual or something. That'd be cool. They should. And wine. I feel like people who are interested in intellectual discourse generally like to pack on a few drinks. Oh, Theodore Bola. That's what that says. Thought it was Odor Ebola. Yes, so book giveaways. We gave away 3 books last night. They went to those who I chose that I thought were engaging in really honest discussion, and also 2 of them called in through Skype, and that'll give you a better chance to win. I will take some Skype calls at the break when we're about an hour in to the video. Oh, that beer tastes good. How are we? Yeah, we still got 12 minutes, so hang out, chat away. Make sure you like this stream, guys. Just take a second to like this stream. It allows for more people to see it. I already burped into the mic, and I just started. Wow. Those of you watching on Facebook, come over and hang out with us over on YouTube. Cheers. This is how volatile Twitter is. I played some piano the other day and put the video up on Twitter, Just like people like, why the fuck would we want to see anyone playing the piano, or why the fuck would we, or why the fuck would we give a shit about Pangbert sharing his art? I'm just like, holy fuck, really? Like, does are people's like souls that dead? It's like we get like everyone should. I want to see people. I want people to share their art more, even if it sucks. Like even if, like I'm not the best piano player in the world. I don't claim to be, but like I like sharing my stuff. Have we gotten to a point where like everyone's so pretentious and just I don't know, sad or something? Everything seems sad. I don't know why. On Twitter it does, but on Facebook, like our Facebook audience is fucking awesome, and you guys are awesome on YouTube. Twitter is just a fucking negative cesspool. Um, let's see. Okay, that's good. You guys have been chatting a little bit, it looks like. Talking reincarnation. Oh, God. Here we go. So, what we're going to be doing today is continuing with the. Actually, why am I even saying this right now? We got 10 minutes. I'll wait. I'll wait a little bit. I'm off to Mexico tomorrow to shoot a documentary about the Day of the Dead, and that will be featured on our YouTube channel, free of charge. And I'll just be going around, hanging out, taking some video, observing the celebrations, and also I want to talk to some people about how they feel about Donald Trump, some of his rhetoric, and just kind of what they feel like the state of Mexico is right now, politically and ideologically. Yeah, so I think that'll be a lot of fun. Yeah, that's what I say, Britt Bong. It's like I don't think ever in my life, like when someone has shared a piece of art, have I ever like smashed them down. Maybe when I was like a teenager or something because I didn't understand, but like fuck, people should be encouraged. I want people to share art more and not feel like on some platforms when they're sharing it into this vortex of negativity. Now I'm gonna be burping lots. Lucky you guys. All right. Facebook, come over and join us on YouTube. How's it going? I tell you, there's been a lot of fuck weasels today on Twitter. Um, I label fuck weasels as people who just spew defamatory bullshit and lie and shit like that. So, but yeah, today's been like quite the day for that. You guys should come. You guys should come check out my. I'm just. It feels like I'm always in a constant war with people on Twitter. I'm at the Pangbird on Twitter. I'm gonna spend less time just because it's a volatile. It doesn't really. It's not doing much right now, but I am this new skeptics coalition that I'm forming. One of our missions is going to be to bring a voice of skepticism to platforms like Twitter that seem to be lacking in a major way. Um, yeah, like that YouTube stream, guys. It's gonna help more people to see it. Uh, if anyone, yeah, it is a void. It's a, it is a void, definitely. Some of these people too, like some of these intellectuals are like sharing some really good pieces and just thoughts on Twitter, and no one's engaging with it. Like they'll get one like on their post, and there'll be a couple comments. It's like Lawrence Krauss is sharing some things. No one's interacting. I don't know if people are just like afraid or they just don't give a shit about Twitter anymore. But uh, yeah, I don't really know what's going on. Yeah, we're hanging out over on YouTube, guys, from all the other platforms. Duncan D's, welcome back. Welcome back to everyone who's been here already, and to those who are new. Thank you for stopping by. What up, Andrew? Thanks for coming. Yeah, if any of you are interested in engaging on Twitter, I am at the Pangburn on Twitter. Um, you can see that right below my ugly mug here. And the place that you really need to come and join, even if you don't like use Facebook regularly, just make a an account, even if it's fake, and come over and engage in the conversations that we have at the official Pangburn page on Facebook. It's at Pangburn Inspire. We have great conversations there every day, and things are just getting better. There's a lot more people engaging and huge amounts of ideological diversity. But the one thing that is true about the Pangburn page is that everyone seems to be engaging in honest discourse most of the time. Sometimes we get the odd duds, especially from Antifa. I tell you, whenever I put something out about the challenge Antifa on something, they're all over that page, and yeah, some people end up getting the axe, but for the most part, we want as many people engaging as possible. Just we can't have people just going around just spouting ad hominem attacks just constantly, or else it's not helping the discussion. Yeah, you guys feel free to plug your channels or your handles in the comment section. No problem with that whatsoever. Again, if you're over on Facebook, jump over to YouTube. That's where you're going to get to see the video. That's where all the discussion's happening right now. And we're going to get going in about 3 minutes here. Donnie, welcome back. Donnie Newman says, I've not heard one Democrat condemn Antifa to this day. Sorry, guys, I'm drinking beer. I'm going to be burping once in a while. It's probably a reason why I shouldn't drink beer on this stream, or if I'm using this mic. Duncan D says Antifa are the real fascists. That's a common thing we hear from the right. I don't know if I would categorize them as fascists. Definitely, I think some Antifa members um, are have caused terrorism, and I think in my podcast about Antifa, if you guys go to the YouTube channel and you look down on the videos, you'll see my podcast on Antifa. I demonstrate how they are in fact an organization with lots of evidence that you can see, or that you can just verify based on what I say in the podcast. So these people who try to, when they talk about Antifa, try to say they're not an organization. It's just an or a combined ideology, or an ideology that unites people. That's not the case. It just isn't. Donnie Newman says, are there any Democrats talking about the killing of the leader of ISIS? Nope, just crickets. I wouldn't say that. I saw a lot of Dems talking about it today. Some pretty famous ones, and some of the younger ideologues. If you're over on Facebook, come over and join us on YouTube. That's where it's all going down. Let's see. Okay, we are 1 minute. One thing I'm seeing too that I should mention if you are going to go on these platforms where there are a ton of trolls and just people being assholes, don't try not to fall into the game of getting into ad hominem attacks or just personal attacks on each other. Um, just let them play that game. Just stick to the doing what you do and having honest intellectual discourse. It really does expose someone's weakness when you start spouting ad hominem attacks or attacking someone's character when you're trying to have a discussion. I've seen this a little bit, so I would just be wary of that. Okay, we are at 8 p.m. Pacific time, and this is October 27th, 2019. All right, welcome everyone. Thank you all for tuning in today. We are going to be watching Sam Harris versus Jordan Peterson, Night 3. And really this is kind of a three-way conversation because Douglas Murray is in the mix as well. He's kind of playing a moderator role, but he's billed to be part of the conversation. So that's what we're going to be seeing here. This event took place in Dublin, Ireland. And I booked this stadium of 8,500 seats. And everyone involved thought I was nuts to book this thing. But the reason why I did is because Jordan's book did so good in Ireland, 12 Rules for Life, which we'll get to in a second. So I booked this massive venue, and we were able to sell it out, and that was 8,500 seats. And I am still talking with the Guinness Book of World Records, and I believe this is going to be in the 2022 edition of Guinness Book of World Records as the largest ticketed non-political live debate in human history. So that's pretty cool. I hope that all works out, and I'm still in conversations with them about that, but I thought that was pretty cool. And you'll hear the roar when these guys come out. Like it was really something to witness. But today, another thing we have is I am doing book giveaways. So giving away 3 books today. We gave 3 away yesterday, and it was awesome. It went to 3 people who were engaging in honest discourse in the chat, and also 2 of the winners did actually call in through Skype during the break, which is awesome. So I hope a few of you will call in today. I'm using Skype right now, but when I come back to the watch parties in the next couple weeks, we might try some different platforms for calling in. So the books that we're giving away today, let's start with this. This is Heavens on Earth, and this is by Michael Shermer, creator of Skeptic magazine. I'm just going to pull up my other window here. And the subtitle is The Scientific Search for the Afterlife, Immortality, and Utopia. So that's by Michael Shermer. This is one of the books up for selection today by a winner. Neil deGrasse Tyson is quoted as saying, Michael Shermer is a beacon of reason in an ocean of irrationality. And I think that's a very good way to describe Michael Shermer. And he's a friend of mine, and I really respect him a lot. And next up, we have a copy of best-selling book, the huge one, the big one, Jordan Peterson, 12 Rules for Life, An Antidote to Chaos. It's a fresh hard copy of the book. And as you guys know, this book took the intellectual world and the males on this planet in a big way by storm. So I really suggest reading it. It's very interesting. You know how Jordan talks. It's a very wordy book, but if you give it some patience, it's a really interesting read. And then finally, one of my favorite thinkers of the past 100 years, Sam Harris's Waking Up. And I think everyone should read this book. It's a very important book. A Guide to Spirituality Without Religion. And yeah, it's you can also get all these books in audio form, I believe, audiobook form. Um, and sorry, just had a weird notification here. Okay, I'll turn that off. But yeah, everyone should get these books regardless. But we will be giving away 3 books today, and possibly a bonus book if we maybe have a tie for the final giveaway. What else? If you guys could quickly hit the like button, hit the like button on the stream on YouTube, that would be awesome. Would really appreciate that. It'll help the stream out. Those of you on Facebook, jump over to YouTube and join us. And let's get going with the watch party. Everyone enjoy yourselves.
Thank you so much. Yes. Thank you all for coming out.
Well, good evening, Dublin. As you've just heard, Jordan Peterson and Sam Harris met for the first time in person 2 weeks ago now in Vancouver. They covered an enormous amount of ground, and there is, I think, an enormous amount of ground still to cover. But I've asked them if they would start this evening in the following way. You're all familiar with straw manning. Anyone who follows politics knows straw manning. But I've asked them to do the opposite tonight, to start by steel manning the arguments of each other, to present in the best possible, most fair, most rigorous light what they understand to be the other's argument.
Okay, so you spend like tens of thousands of dollars on like the renting the recording equipment and audio equipment and all that stuff, and the audio doesn't sound very good. Like, it's like, yeah, so many times when you're producing live events, you're at the mercy of the suppliers that the venues work with, and this is one of those cases as well. But yeah, it's always a crapshoot knowing what kind of audio quality you're gonna get, and it can be so fucking frustrating when you get the final copy back and it's not like as good as you would have hoped it would be.
On all of the major issues we're about to discuss. I'm going to ask Sam Harris to go first, and we're going to go from there. Sam.
Great. Thank you. So first, thank you all for coming. It's an immense privilege for us to do this. And I should say many of you have sacrificed a lot to come here. People have come from other countries. I'm told you all dealt with a ticketing system that seems like it was run from a cave in Afghanistan.
That is so true. It is so true. It was the biggest shit show ever. And this is like a rock and roll venue. So like my staff at the time, I was like what the fuck is happening? And they're like, I don't know what it was, but some people in my staff still claim the ones that worked were like, I swear, because like Jordan Peterson was involved, people were purposefully fucking things up. But I think that's just a conspiracy theory.
It's again, thank you all, because it's one thing for us to put this date on the calendar and say we're going to speak here. It's another for all of you to show up, and this is a privilege we certainly don't take for granted. So, and it's an immense one. So, Jordan, and I should say that though much of our conversation together will often sound like we're debating. We'll definitely, none of us are in the habit of pulling our punches. There's an immense amount of goodwill here, and it's true on stage, it's true off stage, and we're all trying to refine our beliefs together in conversation. So none of us view this as a debate, though we might stridently disagree about one thing or another. So what Jordan, I think, disagrees with me about, I think he's worried that we clearly have a common project. We're both concerned to understand how to live lives worth living. How can we do this individually?
You're not very late, Jeremiah, Daniel. Welcome back.
And how can we build societies that safeguard this project for millions of people attempting to do this in their diverse ways? And so many questions immediately come online when you try to do that. But what is the relationship between facts and values, for instance, or science and spiritual experience, or ethical lives? And we have, for the moment, differing answers to those questions. Jordan is concerned that I, in my allergy to religion, insufficiently value the power of stories in general and religious stories in particular. That there's something more than just nakedly engaging with facts as they are. We don't simply come into contact with reality. We have to interpret reality. We interpret it through our senses and with our brains, obviously. But you need frameworks and, as Jordan would say, stories with which to do that. You don't get facts in the raw. And Jordan believes that because my purpose so often is to counter what I view as the dangerous dogmas within religion, I ignore the power and even the necessity of certain kinds of stories and certain ways of thinking about the world and our situation in the world that not only bring many, many millions and even billions of people immense value, are in fact necessary for anyone, however rational, to build a society where all of our well-being can be conserved. So I think if in brief, that's Jordan's concern about me.
How would you guys rate Sam's steel man of how Jordan feels about Sam's position there? Maybe give him a rating out of 10. Let us know why in the comments you gave your specific rating, and we'll do the same for Jordan.
So Sam is concerned, I would say, above all, with the minimization of unnecessary suffering, which seems to me to be a pretty good place to start. And he's concerned that in order to do that, we need to develop an ethic, and that ethic should be grounded in that realization that unnecessary suffering is worth contending with and dealing with, and that if we make too much of the divide between facts and values, then we end up in a situation where our value structure has no super subordinate foundational grounding, and this is a big problem. So generally in the philosophical community, it's accepted, although not universally, that it's difficult, if not impossible, to derive values from facts. But the problem with that proposition is that you end up in a situation where either you lose all your values because they're just arbitrary, or you have to ground them in something that that's revelatory. And Sam is concerned that one of the negative consequences of grounding your fundamental ethic in something that's revealed is the emergent consequence of irrational fundamentalism. And so obviously that's worth contending with. And so he's taking issue with the philosophical idea that facts and values have to be separate, and formulating the proposition that we can in fact ground a universal system of values in the facts, and that we can mediate between the facts and the system of values using our facility for truth, but even more specifically our facility for rationality, and that rationality can be the mediator between the world of facts and the world and the world of values. And so the problem I have with that, I guess if we can skip briefly to problems, is that it isn't obvious to me how to produce an ethos with sufficient motivating power to ground that conception of the minimization of suffering, say, and the promotion of well-being in a way that grips people and unites a society. And so I think that's part of what we're discussing and trying to sort out with regards to the potential role of narrative and religious belief as an underpinning to this ethos. We seem to agree on the necessity for the universal ethos. We even seem to agree, I would say, on what that is, because certainly the minimization of suffering seems to me to be a very good place to start. We share a concern with and a belief that the pathway to that ethos is in some manner related to our ability to speak the truth, but we disagree on what that has to be grounded in and how it has to be grounded. My sense, especially after thinking about our discussion, is that Sam makes what rationality is do too much work. And I'm hoping that, not that rationality is irrelevant or unimportant, because it clearly is neither of those, but maybe the devil's in the details, and hopefully we can get down to the details tonight. And we've brought Douglas into the conversation. He's here to serve as much more than a mere moderator. And partly we've determined that, as Sam alluded to, that what we're actually trying to figure out is what are the minimal necessary preconditions for the construction of engaged, productive individuals with meaningful, responsible lives in a society that's stable enough to sustain itself and dynamic enough to change. What are the minimal preconditions for that? What are the and how do we ground those presuppositions, those preconditions? And what price do we pay for having them? Because you never get something without a cost. And we thought that Douglas would be a very interesting addition to this conversation, because, of course, he's concentrated on such things as borders. And when you set up preconditions for social order, you also automatically produce such things as hierarchies and borders, and they don't come without a cost. And so we hope to expand the conversation to include a discussion of those issues as well.
Yeah.
Okay, let's holy shit. Okay, let's give Jordan a score out of 10. I'm going to come back to chat here and see how we did. Andrew Thopil says, this is random, Travis, but how should I study for my biology test tomorrow? Well, it depends what the biology test is on, I suppose. Britong says, I think schools should have mandatory philosophy lessons. Well, I think I would say more specific than that, skepticism should be taught from kindergarten all the way through grade 12 or whatever the grading system is, and where you're from, all through your high school and all through your elementary school. I think there should be an element of skepticism in the lessons, because I think skepticism is based in the way to think properly, so you don't fall for bullshit, right? So I'm going to call, okay, WHWWD says, I think Peterson gets that don't get to pick our brains and therefore our limitations. And so I like that he says that's a problem our society needs to confront. Okay. Jeremiah Daniel says, rewrite. Oh, he's giving Andrew some notes. Rewrite your notes 2 times, Andrew, and then vocab on flashcards. Donnie Newman says, I think college needs to be reformed because the millennials are fucked up. Andrew Thophill gave Sam Harris a 9 out of 10. Eggy Guy gave a 9 to Sam in his Steel Manning. Jeremiah Daniel gave him a full 10. Duncan Dees says 6 out of 10. He overly simplifies Jordan's position, is what Duncan says. Overly simplify. Well, I mean, it's good to simplify something that can come off as being much too complicated and much too wordy. I think that's one of Sam's strengths. But you think perhaps Sam went way too far with that. Andrew Thopil says they really aren't. That's more of a stereotype that isn't supported by the data. Oh, the millennial thing. Yeah. Let's go. WHWWD gives Sam an 8.5. Britt Bong says 8 out of 10 for Sam. No one is perfect, but I think he is right. They both seek the answer to a meaningful life. Yes, correct. Thank you for summarizing that. Sam takes a more analytical approach. Jordan takes a more metaphorical approach, religion versus atheism. So I would say it's not religion versus atheism. I would say maybe perhaps religion versus the pursuit of well-being, because atheism gets lumped in with worldviews all the time, but atheism doesn't have a worldview. There's no tenets or dogma. There's no rules except for, atheism is just a response to people saying these gods exist, and then you say, can I see your evidence? And then they show you something and it's not evidence and you haven't been convinced. So if you don't believe their claim, then that is atheism. That's all it is. It has nothing to do with worldviews or even a way of looking at the world. Really, it's a rejection of the claims of God's existing. Britt Bong says intellectual. Jeremiah Daniel poked a little bit of fun at Jordan's vocabulary. Revelatory. To be revealed. And he said, what a douche. Oh, come on now. Show. Oh, this is hiding some comments. Eggy Guy says 8. Sam believes... I think that might have been for Jordan. Let's take a look. Okay. He seems very Taoist sometimes. Is that in response to Sam or Jordan? I think you guys are speaking about Jordan there. Okay, now we're getting into Jordan's marks. Red Trek says 9 out of 10. Oh, and just a quick reminder, guys, please hit that like button. It just helps more people to see this stream, and we'll get more people involved. Andrew Thopil gives him a minus 237 out of 10. That's a little harsh. That's a lot of deductions. WHWWD gives Jordan a 3. I have to agree with you guys. Like, Jordan gets a really low mark here for me. Just his lack to be precise, clear, and not to open up so many thought pretzels that people get a little bit confused. And it's not saying that what Jordan is saying isn't meaningful, but it's some of the critiques I have about his writing as well, that I think it needs to be condensed and a little more focused. And but I will say that one of the things I love about Jordan is sitting down for dinner and hearing him open up these thought pretzels and maneuver through them, and it's just very interesting to watch, because the guy obviously has a very high intellect, but with that high intellect and that fast computability, there needs to be some way to communicate what's going on to the listener. And I know a lot of people are huge fans of the way Jordan speaks and he presents ideas, and I am too. I'm just saying that in this moment, I think he opened a few too many pretzels and he needed to simplify. Caleb's Revenge says, and thank you everyone for being here. It means a lot. Hit that like button, please. Go and hit the like button. Go and hit the like button. Caleb's Revenge says, I may well be in the minority, but I think Dr. Peterson has a much more useful perspective than Sam. Interesting. Atheist Bear says, in all of this, Peterson never makes a supernatural claim. Sam's career has been denouncing supernatural claims. So if their entire discussion is explaining secular ethics, then we're beyond theism. 100% correct, Atheist Bear. 100% correct. Jordan and Sam are both holding positions that are atheistic to a God that actually exists in the traditional sense. This is why I think Jordan is an atheist by the traditional standard. And then if you want to talk about the belief in a metaphorical God actually existing, as a metaphor existing, then that's a different thing than talking about the existence of an actual God that exists. Whether you're claiming it exists outside of time and space or can enter time and space, that's the traditional version of God, and it's not a metaphor. It's not metaphorically true. It's actually true. That's what's being proposed by the traditional propositions of God. So Atheist Bear, right on. Eggy Guy 8. Sam believes values are facts, I think. Let's go. No, Caleb, that's not atheism's worldview. There's no worldview attached to the atheist label. Atheism is simply just rejecting claims of God's existing. There's nothing else attached to it. That's all it is. Usually people think that atheist worldview is really humanistic, like humanism. Now, humanism has tenets and dogmas and things like that. I wouldn't really describe them that way, but they're very, very soft compared to the other ones. They're more rules to live by when trying to be humane. Cameron Gilman, welcome back. From what I understand, God is in the realm of values, and asking for factual evidence is asking the wrong question. Sure. What Sam is trying to press here is, what do you mean by God? Let's make it clear that you're not talking about the God in the Bible actually existing on a cloud. You're talking about the power of the idea of God as a metaphor and as a way, as a gateway to a better life. That's Sam's trying to get Jordan to clarify this, and yeah, we'll see what you guys think, how good of a job he does here. Great comment. Caleb's Revenge is back. Well, I think Sam is a blowhard whose entire philosophy of well-being is fucking insane, but I'm willing to hear another opinion. Cool. Okay, Caleb's put the challenge out there. Someone take it up. Jeremiah Daniel says atheism means just that, atheism without theist ideas. True. That's 100% correct. Simple as that. Exactly. WHWWD follows up on that. Jeremiah Daniel says there is now worldview or there is no worldview or agenda hiding behind it. I think you meant no. Okay, let's get back. Let's watch some more here. Thanks for commenting, guys, and please hit that like button on the stream.
But before Douglas chimes in, I just want to reiterate the fact that he has not been cast here as our moderator, though if Jordan and I run off the rails, I expect Douglas to put us back on in the King's English.
I'm not moderate enough to be a moderator.
No. But you're more moderate than either of us are. But
you guys should all go follow Douglas Murray as well. He's a really great guy, but I love his writing and the way he thinks. I think he's very provocative, and he in his style reminds me of Hitch a little bit.
So I want you to reset the part of your brain that is poised to begrudge the moderator taking up too much time, because every moderator has felt that, and Brett Weinstein was brilliantly aloof and uninvolved in much of our exchange together. But Douglas really is a third participant here, and he stands between Jordan and I on some issues in an interesting way. So we have a three-way conversation here where none of us is really sitting in the same spot. So,
can I make a quick observation about some of this? Some of the progress that you've already made in Vancouver, some of the progress I hope we can make tonight seems to be, I see one thing that hampers it. And let me go straight to it with Sam, which is...
also, for those of you who don't know, we've already done 12 hours of video review of these watch parties of Jordan and Sam. So we've made it to the third video, but it was 3 2-hour videos to get to this point. So for those of you who have been here throughout through this whole process, I thank you a lot.
I discovered a terrific phrase the other day that our mutual friend Eric Weinstein came up with. We're talking about the manner in which you can discuss within the sciences certain scientific problems.
Douglas just made the critical error. Never call Eric Weinstein Eric Weinstein. If you really want to see Eric get mad, or Brett.
And he said, look, if you've got a scientist who you know is also basically a very literalist Christian, you will listen to their argument a whole long part of the way. And there's somewhere at the end of it, you know you're going to be worried about it. And he came up with this phrase, I love this phrase. He says, Jesus smuggling.
Right, yeah. Yeah.
Jesus smuggling is, you're going to follow all the way, yes, yes, and then the worry is that when you get to the bit that you're not so good on, that's when they're going to smuggle in Jesus.
Yeah, yeah.
My suspicion is that you have a reservation about some of what Jordan is saying on substructures, on stories, and much more, because you're worried that at some point, either on this...
Is Donnie Newman being a troll or a douche here? I don't think he's being a fuckweasel. I'm just going through. Donnie Newman, what's your beef, man? You're calling for thumbs down? Come on. Where is Donnie, don't be the cunt in the room. Okay, I've explained the cunt problem before. When everyone's trying to engage in honest discourse and you have someone who's being the cunt problem in the room. This is what Donnie may be doing right now, but let's see what happens here.
Stage or off it at some point when you're not looking.
No, yes, or when I am looking.
He's going to Jesus smuggle you.
Yeah, yeah. That's a... Well,
is that fair?
Yeah.
I was thinking maybe I'd just carry him in on a cross.
Yeah, right. Well, that is an all too apt analogy because it is what worries me, and it's more subtle than that because it's not to think that you're consciously doing it is a different claim. There's I don't think there's anything insincere about your argument for the importance of religion, but it's also possible. We've all met the people who we believe are making insincere arguments and are really they're consciously putting the rabbit in the hat. And
Keith Connolly says Donnie is trolling in a group that doesn't care about trolling. Yeah, exactly. Trolling is one thing, and it can be funny to a certain extent, but trolling then turns into the cunt in the room being the cunt problem. Caleb's Revenge says, I am the cunt in the room, but I will try to do it in an at least semi-intelligent manner. Caleb, you just might win a book for that comment. Thank you for being honest.
And pretending to be surprised when it pops out, right? And the analogy to magic is actually interesting here because we over dinner were talking about the difference between real and fake art, and we were talking about this paradox that the art seems to be incredibly valuable, and yet the value isn't located in the object itself, or can't be obviously located there, because a forgery that is materially the exact copy of some masterpiece is essentially worthless, and the real masterpiece, even if it suffered some damage, would be incredibly valuable. And so where is the value?
Man Guy Dude Bro says, I can't believe the way the SJW Twitter mob have been going after JP for crying. Total hypocrites. You know what? That kind of shit is gutless. When people show a complete lack of empathy towards people who are, in an extreme emotional state, Have you ever seen Jordan Peterson show lack of empathy like that towards someone? Have you ever seen it? If you have, I would be very, very shocked. And it's not that we all haven't made mistakes, but the wolf pack mentality, when people jump on people and the comments start rolling and people turn into get the mob mentality going, it reminds me of I can't remember the movie I'm thinking of, but I just hate that shit. Sorry, I'm just seeing some notifications here. But yeah, I can't stand that stuff. And Twitter is horrible for that.
To be located. But what worries me about your enterprise, Jordan, and the way in which you seem to be linking our rational project and our scientific project with religion is right here. There's a difference between, and magic is a decent analogy. There's a difference between, like, paradoxically, real magic is fake magic, and fake magic is real magic. The only real magic in the world produced by magicians is the fake magic, where the magician, like someone like Darren Brown, will tell you, actually, no, I can't read minds, and I did put the rabbit in the hat, and this is fake, but the surprise is that even knowing it's fake, you can't understand how this effect is being achieved. Whereas the fake magicians are the ones who are pretending to be real, who are hiding, who are not acknowledging the mechanics, the real mechanics behind what is in fact effective. You know, the illusion that the rabbit pops out of the hat. And what I worry with some of the way in which you discuss the power of story, the power of metaphor, and the religious anchoring there, is that the leverage and the utility can be had even while acknowledging the real mechanics of it. You know, the fakeness of the magic, right? And you seem to suspect that it can't. That takes all of the wind out of the sails.
I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure what of it's fake and what of it isn't. Well, so I would say that I do consciously participate in.
Bottleneck, Suds, Juggy, let's get out there and show them how we recycle.
In the process that you described. But you see, I would also make the case, and this is certainly one of the things that we've been discussing, that you do it unconsciously. And let me make the case for that for a minute, because I've been thinking about it a lot, and I'd like to see your response. So when I really read The Moral Landscape a lot, and I thought about it a lot, you know, and so this is what it looks like to me. So you make the proposition that we have to breach the gap between facts and values, because otherwise our values are left hanging unmoored, and that certainly brings about the danger of nihilism, but also a potential danger of swing to totalitarianism, something we agree about. I truly do believe that. Right. And then you perform an operation, a conceptual operation, and you say, surely we can all agree that, and then you outline a story about this woman who lives in this horrible country, who's basically just being starved and disease-ridden and tortured her whole life and having just a hell of a time of it, to put it in a phrase. And then you say, well, surely we can all agree that that's not good. And then you contrast that with, at least in principle, the sort of life that we would all like to have if we could choose the life that we have. And then you say, well, we could start with the proposition that we should move away from this terrible, hellish circumstance, and we should move towards this more ideal perspective. And you say, if we could only agree on that, then. And so, right. And so, like, so far so good. But there's a couple of things that go along with that are quite interesting. And so the first is that actually what you're claiming is that the highest moral good isn't existing in that better space. The highest moral good is acting in the manner that moves us from the hellish domain to the desirable domain. It seems to me to be implicit in your argument. So there's a pattern of behavior that constitutes the ethic. Well,
I would say that existing in that better space is good enough as well. So, I mean, there's the question of what it takes to move from where you are to someplace better, and then there's just the someplace that's better.
There's both of those. Yeah. Well, but perhaps we could say, look, what's the ultimate hell? It might be existing in the hell that you described, but it also might be, this is something worse, I think. I think that participating in the process that brings about that hell is actually a hell that's even deeper than the hell. So it's an analogous argument. There's the state of being in a good state, but there's also the state of being that brings you to that good state, and then there's the state of being that's that's a terrible state, and the process that brings you to that terrible state. And one of the things that I've learned from the archetypal and religious texts that I've studied, as well as the philosophical texts, is that the process that transforms society into something approximating hell is a lower hell. Now, the reason...
Well, let me just close the loop on that, because I'm pretty sure I disagree. One, you can imagine two counterexamples. One is you can imagine a sadistic being, you might even call him God, who would create a circumstance of hell and populate it with innocent souls, right? Now that's, presumably, that action, it need not be attended by a lot of suffering. Or you could imagine some...
No, but it's still wrong.
Oh, still totally
it's still wrong.
Yes.
No,
yes.
You could even imagine someone who enjoys generating hell.
Yes, it could be a source
but
of
that would even be
perverse
more wrong than not enjoying it.
Right. Yes.
Okay, so we want to separate out two things. We want to separate out these states of being and the process that brings them into being. And I do believe you do that in your work, because basically what you suggest is that the appropriate way to act ethically is to act in a manner that moves us away from hell and moves us towards a desirable state. Now, the thing is that as far as I'm concerned, there's a couple of things about that. The first thing is that I wouldn't say that that mode of acting is a fact. I would say it's a personality. And that what you're suggesting is that people embody the personality that moves society away from hell towards heaven, for lack of a better term. And the reason I make that argument is because I think that you recapitulate the essential Christian message precisely by doing that, because symbolically speaking, at least as far as I can understand, stripped of its of its metaphysical context, let's say, that the purpose of positing the vision of the ideal human being, which, independent of the metaphysical context, it's certainly what the symbol of Christ represents, is the mode of being that moves us most effectively from something approximating hell to something approximating heaven. And then part of that message is, and this is also something that's dead along the lines of what you're arguing.
Do you get the sense that Jordan is way overthinking the importance of having this narrative that shows you what the ultimate human is or can be, or even the ultimate character? Or can we not just reason this if we have the proper tools? And obviously if our hardware is not malfunctioning, but if we have the proper tools and examples from parents and those around us, essentially our environments that our nervous system is interacting with. Is Jordan overcomplicating this? Let's go back to the chat. You guys, all of you guys, please take a second right now. Stop what you're doing. Hit the like button on this stream. It really helps the stream out. Let's end at the break. We're getting actually pretty close to the break. About at the 1 hour mark. I'm burping a bit because I'm drinking a beer. I'm going to take some calls through Skype if anyone wants to call in. And then I will announce some book winners. It gives you a better chance at winning if you call in through Skype and have a quick conversation or tell us what you want to tell us on the air. Let's go back to chat here. You guys are actually, there's some really good conversation happening today. I really appreciate this. Oh, I'm seeing people say, shut up. What's going on here? Okay. Let's start with, why don't we start here? Man Guy McDude Bro says, atheism is like a cult. Uh-oh. Not a good start. Like I said, atheism, you can't have a cult of atheism. You can have a cult of humanism, but atheism isn't even really an ism. It's just a rejection of claims that gods exist. That's how it's defined. Caleb's Revenge says, let's see if this is cunty. The unifying belief is there are no God or gods. No, you're wrong, Caleb, and I'll tell you why you're wrong. The atheist position isn't taking on the positive claim that there are no gods or a God. It is a lack of belief in a God. Atheism doesn't take on the burden of proof. If someone is to take on that burden and claim that a God or gods do not exist, that's a whole different thing altogether. It's not atheism. This is a common mistake. Zeben64 says the snarky atheism is new atheism. I think you're trying to say anti-theism. Snarky atheism. Yeah, I mean, but you can have snarky anything, right? You can have snarky delivery man. Like, yeah, you can have snarky any ism. Keith Connolly says, "Is your name?" Oh, that's just never mind. Devin Williams says, everyone is religious. You have to operate in the world with some sort of faith in the unknown. No, I'm not religious. Devin, give me an example of how I am religious. This would be a good thing for you to call in about if you're interested in calling in through Skype. Give me an example of how I am religious. Religiosity isn't required. It just, I have an understanding about determinism and my lack of free will and my biology that leaves me in a position of not needing to delve into anything religious. Now you could say I have religious like experiences when I listen to music, when I play music, things like that. You can draw some analogies and some parallels there, and I'm happy to accept that. But this isn't the religiosity that you can say, well, you know, I have my religion of Christianity, and you guys all have your religions of art and various art forms. So, you know, we're both doing it. It's like, no, one is potentially a lot more harmful than the others, depending on how you're practicing the Christian worldview. Jeremiah Daniel, I love anti-theism. Andrew Thopil says to Cameron Gilman, atheism says nothing about a person's beliefs about the purpose of reality. 100% true. Jeremiah Daniel says militant atheism, LOL. Caleb's Revenge says, it always bemuses me how much atheists try to say they aren't religious. Well, if you're going to claim that they are, Caleb, it's not up to an atheist to demonstrate that they're not. You have to, if you're going to make the claim that they are religious, you have to support that with evidence. So let's see your evidence. Manguy says with atheism there is no purpose. Wrong. We create our own purposes in life. And as far as I can tell, the ultimate answer to the question of what is the purpose of life, it's just pleasure. We are here to experience pleasure through our pleasure drive, which operates in our nervous system. And that might sound bleak, but if you accept that and you understand that, the pleasures out of each scenario that I come across in my environment are the reasons why I'm living, then I think you find more enjoyment in those things. Andrew Coppill responds to Caleb, says, no, it doesn't. You have to ask each person on an individual case. Jeremiah says, oh God, what the fuck is Jordan talking about? Manguy McDudebro says, you can say there is, but you can't prove it. Prove what? Who are you talking to? Jeremiah Daniel, shut up. Zeben64, thank you for commenting, everyone. Make sure you hit the like button. Hit that like button. There's still a lot of you. You're not sitting up out of your chair. You're not putting your beer down for 1 second to hit that like button. Hit that like button. Be a good dude. Be a good girl. That got weird. Zeben64 says, Darwinism and materialism leads to free will denialism. Oh, here we go. This is the problem JP is fighting against. Okay, so you make a claim. Darwinism and materialism leads to free will denialism. Free will hasn't been demonstrated to exist. We haven't demonstrated that free will exists, Zeben. The burden of proof is on someone to demonstrate that it does exist. It's not The burden of proof is not on, you're not born into a world where you just know that free will exists. That's not how claims work. That's not how we evaluate claims. So Zeben, you have to demonstrate, let's see if you can, that free will does in fact exist. Britt Bong says, I aim to know the unknown as best I can. I seek to understand, not just blindly believe. Yes, we learn to know the unknown through the scientific method. We find evidence of reality. We build models, which is the scientific method, and then we have a model of understanding, which eventually graduates into a theory of understanding of what things are, and that's what the scientific method is, and that is the only system we have at figuring out what actually is going on based on the evidence of reality. Thank you guys so much for engaging. This is great conversation. Man guy McDoodle, dude bro. I don't know. I keep wanting to say doodle bro. Hell, you can change what you think the meaning is on a whim. Meaningless. Huh. Weird. Atheist Bear says, yes, Britt Bong, that's awesome. We agree on 3,000 gods and disagree on one. That's okay. I would say 10,000, but that tool we use to dismiss gods is what we have in common. Yes. This is a very good point. This is very common by Michael Shermer, and we are giving away Michael Shermer's newest book, at least I think it's his newest book, Heavens on Earth, The Scientific Search for the Afterlife, Immortality, and Utopia. And that brings me to announcing our first winner of the first book tonight. Drum roll, please. I need to hear you guys. I need to hear the drum rolls. Oh, yeah, there we go. Oh, yeah, that's good. Oh, yeah, just like that. And the winner of first choice tonight, which means you get to pick one book out of the 3 available. And you know what? I might throw one more. This makes sense. Douglas Murray's in this video. I'm throwing one more. You guys have been engaging so well. I'm throwing one more book into the mix, and it is Douglas Murray's The Strange Death of Europe. Okay? The Strange Death of Europe is now up for grabs. We're doing 4 books tonight, I just decided. So the first winner who gets to pick from the 4 books that are available is none other than Atheist Bear. Atheist Bear bringing skepticism to this conversation, engaging well. Atheist Bear is the first winner. Congrats to Atheist Bear. Let me know in the comments which book you would like. And all you have to do is go over to the Pangburn Facebook page and send us a message and tell us who you were in the comment section, and then give us your address, and we will ship the book that you want to you. Atheist Bear, let us know which book you want. And congratulations. Cheers to Atheist Bear. Cameron Gilman says, I'll call in when you want. Okay, cool. For anyone that's interested in calling in on Skype, just jump on Skype and send a message to me, Travis Pangburn 3 on Skype, and we will get you set up. Did we hear from Atheist Bear yet? Atheist Bear, you're a winner. Make a comment. It's between The Strange Death of Europe by Douglas Murray, Heavens on Earth by Michael Shermer, Waking Up by Sam Harris, or 12 Rules for Life by Jordan Peterson. You got to speak up if you want your book. What else we got here? Just gonna go back to where we were in the chat. Cameron Gilman, we got your notification, so thank you very much. Is Atheist Bear still around? We'll keep Yes, Andrew Thophill makes this clear to Caleb that rejection of a claim should not be interpreted as being based in any way on an acceptance of the opposite claim. Yes, very true. It's a common mistake in claims and in knowledge and in logic when we're and in debating. Free will Duncan D says free will deniers equals literal NPCs. Okay. Atheist Bear. Atheist Bear, tell us which book on the air here, which one you would like, just in the comment section, so we can announce it and put that one out of the running. Hit that like button, guys. We almost got it up to, I think it's reading as 30 here. Mank Deems says, oh my god. Dank memes except the reverse. Mank Deems says, I didn't drum roll. Well, fuck. You left us hanging and now you're just going to die a horrible death or something. Okay, Atheist Bear is going to go with The 12 Rules for Life by Jordan Peterson. That is your book. Good job, Atheist Bear. Rock and roll. You are the wiener. So we still got 3 books left, guys. What we're going to do now is take a quick... How are we doing on the video? We haven't taken much meat out of the video. That's okay. We're going to take a quick break, and then anyone who's interested in having a conversation on the air, just come and add me on Skype. My Skype name is Travis Pangburn3. Send us a message, and we'll be right back in a minute, and we're going to start with Cameron Gilman first on the call. Hit that like button, guys. If you're on Facebook, come and join us. We're having a great time. And over on YouTube. But I am just going to head to the bathroom 1 minute and I'll be right back. You guys can keep chatting. Rock and roll. Make sure you all wash your hands. Yes, I had too many beer. I had exactly 3/4 of a beer. Ran right through me. Addison Joseph said something. Message retracted. Mank Deem says, damn it, I don't want to die a horrible death. Yeah, quick and dirty would be nice. All right, we're just on a quick break here. We're an hour and 13 minutes into this watch party. This has been great. You guys have been engaging in some great intellectual discourse. I really appreciate it. We haven't had any real fuckweasels here tonight, spreading defamatory bullshit. They're the worst. A lot of these guys used to come out and like spread rumors about Jordan Peterson supporting pedophiles and things like this. All that shit seemed to have stopped. Keith Connolly says, stand up tall and wear your skinny jeans. Rule 13. Yes. Cameron Gilman, if you are available, feel free to give me a shout now on Skype. All right, we're just waiting for a call from Cameron Gilman. If anyone else wants to have a conversation through Skype, give a call, and happy to happy to have a chat. Yeah, where is Tasteless tonight? He's always here. Yeah, Tasteless called in, and we had a great conversation. I forget what we talked about, but yeah, Cameron Gilman, maybe you're still in the bathroom. Please remember to wash your hands at least. All right. All right, Mr. Cameron Gilman, you are on the air.
Hello, Mr. Penguin. How's it going?
Good. How you doing today?
Yeah, not too bad. Yourself?
Oh, doing good. I'm excited to be going to Mexico tomorrow.
Oh, really? Nice.
Yeah.
What are you going over there for?
Well, I'm going to be shooting a documentary on the Day of the Dead, actually, and taking a little bit of a vacation, so should be a
Oh,
lot of
that's
fun.
wicked.
Yeah. So, what do you want to chat about today?
About how atheism leads to superficial belief structures.
Okay. Yeah. So, why don't you start off with making a claim, and we can go from there.
I think, I don't know, that you and lots of people who are chatting are right that atheism is nothing but the rejection in the belief of a God.
Right.
But that leads to um, God, I feel, is about having that ultimate ideal. And without that ultimate ideal or that hierarchy of ideals, you have nowhere to orientate yourself in the world. And it leads you to saying things like, the meaning of life is the pleasure drive. And yeah.
Right. So. Let's unpack that a little bit. So, would you prefer that people believed uh, in things on bad evidence as opposed to believing in what the evidence tells us?
When it comes to, I don't know, religious and spiritual matters, I don't think talks of evidence is appropriate because it isn't in the realm of facts. It is in the realm of values.
Right. So, me as an atheist, I derive my values from basically experiencing the world, or at least, and I know I've had a conversation with Jordan about this before, and he would say, but you act as though God's or a God exists. But I basically I go through the world and I experience and interact with other people, and I have this idea that I get pleasure out of seeing other people experience pleasure, and I get pleasure out of certain things, and I I use that to determine what I feel is good, and I think based on biology that is what you are doing as well.
Hmm. I disagree. Well, I first probably it leaves yourself open to when life does suck. How do you relate to that suffering? How do you
Right.
confront that suffering
Yeah,
when you
and
don't have that pleasure to drive you through?
right, but when we're suffering, I still think the drive is to, I think our biological system is still driving us towards finding the most pleasurable pursuit, even when we are suffering. And it's true that sometimes that pleasurable pursuit can become death, for instances of suicide. But I don't think this really helps anything to put in a concept of God, because like why not, why does it have to be a concept of God with agency, and why can't it just be an idea like the golden rule or something like that?
I think it could be.
Right.
God is a very nebulous term, and it doesn't leave itself open to it having agency or
Right.
having, granting wishes and
Right. So let me ask you this: if someone asks you a question of, do you think God exists, what would be your answer?
I'm not sure.
Right. So
I
you
would
so you would say I don't know.
yes.
So
It's
that's
probably
the
the most honest answer
so that's the
I could
that's
give.
the atheist response as well to that
Hmm.
proposition. So you're on par with atheism because they're not adopting a burden of proof to say that they think gods do not exist. So you're on par with my worldview so far, but so do you like? Would you find your moral framework from Christianity?
No. I don't know. I try and look at all the religions and I don't know spiritual side of things to try and how to act properly in the world because it is dealing with the realm of values and yeah, I don't think following the bliss leads you to a meaningful or fulfilling life.
Right. Okay. So, but what do you think of Sam Harris's perspective on this? That we can have pursuits of well-being and avoidance of suffering by just looking at morals as a landscape and adjusting these based on some objective truths that we can get out of science. For in the instance of do not drink this cup of poison because objectively it's bad for your well-being because it brings you closer to death. Right.
Yeah, I think you can approximate a moral framework building on top of, you know, I think what religions have gone before. Now that we live in a society where we do kind of have an idea about how to act properly in the world,
Right.
that yeah, from that you can yeah approximate it, but it's I don't know, it lands into the same problems with utilitarianism where trying to actually measure pleasure or measure suffering and to how to go about that when it's dealing with multiple people is very difficult.
Right. So I guess in what you've described, it sounds like you are an atheist by my definition, but you subscribe to this idea of God because it deals with values. But why does it have to be God that deals with values? Why can't you instead read Sam Harris's book, Waking Up, and use that as your guide for values?
Because I think Sam Harris uses the same hierarchy of values that he puts something at the top of it, and for that is God for him or that highest ideal.
Right, but he would say the highest ideal, right? He wouldn't say God. Why is there a need to propagate this myth or this mythos of gods?
Mm. It is probably, I know, semantic problem or lexical problem that I know God is the best placeholder word for trying to simplify something that is very complex.
Yeah, isn't it a poor label though for what we're trying to get at? Because gods are lumped in with Islam and Christianity, Catholicism, all of these religions that have these terrible problems. Shouldn't we be moving away from the God label as opposed to doing what Jordan's trying to do and to rework it so that they can keep it to some degree?
I don't think it's reworking. I think it's rescuing it from the dogma. But like you say, there is a lot of horrible things done in the name of religion and done
Right,
by religious people.
right.
But yeah, I think it's a corruption from that dogma that tries to hold it all together.
Right. So it sounds like to a certain degree that you, I mean, I think you claim that this could potentially be a semantical error, or just semantics in general between Sam's idea of the greatest good that you can reach, and Jordan would maybe call it God. And the reason why I like the Sam Harris approach to this is specifically because I think we need to move people away from belief in God, because with the God term comes this idea of agency. So even when Jordan talks about God, I don't think he's talking about an agent. He's talking about
No.
an idea, right?
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah, I think so.
and I think this is what those in the who hold the atheist position will say has just been like, well, this is stupid for you to be using this term because you are actually living in the atheist position right now, but you are proposing a whole new God in this realm of metaphorical truth that people are glomming onto and saying that, well, yeah, I still believe in God, but really saying you believe in God now means a different thing from the Jordan Peterson metaphorical truth perspective. Do you
I
see
think
do you see
it's,
how it gets muddy though?
I do understand, but I think it's more for, there's a lot of entrances into understanding the spiritual, and through that, dogma is one pathway for people. So people who are not, you know, open to ideas or open to, debates like this can still get along in understanding, complex moral issues through dogma. And that's why I think he's probably, I don't know, unwilling to say things like, oh, Jesus definitely didn't get resurrected,
Right.
where,
Yeah, and I
yeah,
mean, like I wouldn't make that claim because I wouldn't want to take on the burden of proof, but I would say that most certainly, based on our understanding of science, um, human beings probably most certainly haven't been resurrected in history after dying in the way it's
yes.
described in ancient texts. I think we can all agree on that. But anyways, man, thank you so much for calling. I really appreciate it. You can have your choice of book. You win a book for calling and standing up and being a man and calling in. You get your choice
Do
between.
you reckon I could bring up one point, one
Yeah,
more point?
yeah, sure. Take up first. Make your book choice, and then we'll let you have one more point here. Would you like "Waking Up" by Sam Harris, "Heavens on Earth" by Michael Shermer, or "The Strange Death of Europe" by Douglas Murray?
I'll take the waking up.
Okay, awesome. Waking Up. So all you have to do is go over to the Pangburn Facebook page. That's at Pangburn Inspire on Facebook, and just send us a message with your address and remind us of who you are, and we'll get that book to you. And you wanted to, and congrats, and you wanted to make one more point here.
Oh, beautiful. Well, thanks for sending me that book. That's really
Of
awesome.
course, yeah.
Yeah, just probably to say like how your belief leads to that pleasure drive kind of philosophy and like meaning in life.
Yeah.
That's then to bring it to a practical level. How do you do things which would be good for your life or meaningful in your life, but would cause you suffering in the like short to medium term?
Well, I think you're talking about things that are outside of our control based on our understanding of biology. So, I talked about this during the last stream, but as far as we understand the how the brain is working based on the nervous system, taking in things through our senses, we are the last to know what our next thought is when it comes to our biology. So basically, what that means is when we have a thought, this is something that's happening to us and not something that we are dictating. So what that means is trying to apply some kind of framework to get ahead of that as far as when it comes to your thinking in life. I think that's a non-starter because our understanding of neuroscience just throws that out the window. We can't do it. So
Yeah,
basically, yeah, sorry, go ahead.
that's probably, yeah, that's the lack of free will
Yes,
argument. But
yes,
I think I'm talking more about, say you want to work out to have a good body because that's kind
yep,
of what your value is. But
yep.
to do that, you got to throw weights around in the gym, and it's quite a bit of pain. So
Yeah. So,
how do you
okay.
reconcile that?
I get what you're getting at. So, along with our pleasure calculations, we have people that are pleasure junkies, and we have people that are uh, basically pleasure moderates. So that there are some people who can get enough pleasure out of going to the same bagel shop every morning before they go to work, having that same experience, and they like that. And then there are the pleasure junkies who cannot do these repeatable things, and it's and I think we break into those simple two groups as human beings, and just to deal with your workout thing, if I didn't find it pleasurable to go and work out based on the pleasure calculations I've done for the short term and the long term, if I didn't find it pleasurable, I would not be moving towards that pleasure. Based on my understanding of the way the instinct, which I call pleasure drive, communicates with basically Sam's next step, which is the moving towards well-being as a general idea. I think the pleasure drive comes before that. Because we have, and the reason why I think that is because we have people who know damn well that doing more heroin isn't satisfying their well-being, their pursuit to want to be well. It's just satisfying the immediate drive towards the most accessible pleasure that their brain is dictating.
Okay, so if you were laying on a bed and could be injected with heroin,
right,
and with no ill health consequences for the rest of your life, would you take that option?
Well, I wouldn't have the way you phrased it, take that option. That decision is made by my neurology. It's not made by me as
Do you
a
think your
personality.
neurology would?
Well, I think that's an interesting question, because I think you would actually have to be in that scenario. But I think we build based on our environment. Environment is a huge part of this, because in my environment, in the way I grew up, I have access to all of these different modes of pleasure. Some people growing up in different parts of the world and with more confined modes of pleasure that they can derive out of their environment, the thinking changes, and the pleasure calculations that happen are based on way different properties. They're just one way to look at it is basically first world problem versus third world problem. I think that the whole concept comes from our pleasure drives dealing with what is actually what can be calculated for potential pleasures around us. So I think when you ask a question of how you're going to react in this certain situation, even my answer to your question is the answer coming out of my mouth is the most pleasurable answer I can give you based on what my brain is doing. I couldn't have said anything else.
I'm not sure where you get the pleasure calculations from in the neurologically.
Well, basically what I'm calling that is traditionally it's been called the instinct before we get to any kind of rationalization, or what people would call, I guess, the placeholder term being consciousness. Before consciousness,
Yeah.
there is something that triggers the thought into the consciousness to allow us to be aware of the thought. Because the thought has to come from somewhere, right? So we have to say, what is that trigger that sparks the thing then for us to be aware of what that thought is. So traditionally that's been called the instinct, to my best understanding. And what I'm saying is that it's not just an instinct. It actually is a pursuit of pleasure, just like the ant has an instinct to satisfy the queen. The worker ant has an instinct to satisfy the queen.
Okay, to bring us down to like a practical level, say your aunt is really, really sick.
Right.
And to pay for her medical bills,
Yeah.
you have to work ridiculous amounts of hours, like have no time for yourself for an extended period of time.
Yeah.
I feel that if some people would want to not do that based on, that pleasure drive, not wanting to undergo that suffering for someone else.
Right. And this is,
And
and this is where it gets very, very complicated, I think, when the brain's going through these pleasure calculations, because it's not only about all of these calculations, these pleasure calculations are purely selfish. So if there's going to be immense pleasure by the virtue that you get from others for helping another, that part of the calculation comes into the equation as well. So it's like, I think the brain does this and says, oh, if I help out this, seventh cousin of mine because they're on their deathbed and dying, and I'm going to work, how much pleasure am I going to get out of that versus if I was to help my sister out where she's on the deathbed and dying? Which person do I get potentially more pleasure out of with them surviving? It's like it's this terrible selfish calculation that's happening when we look at it from like our own understanding of what we should be thinking about in that situation. But I think this idea of selfless acts that we see people do all the time, like giving money to charity and everything else, I believe we're doing them for pleasure-driven, selfish reasons because it provides us with significant amounts of pleasure.
I think sometimes, but I don't think that encompasses all altruistic behaviors.
Well, I think we've definitely hashed this out quite a bit, but I really want to thank you for your call, and I hope you call again sometime. We're going to be doing lots more of these watch parties, and I really appreciate it, and I hope you enjoy Sam's book.
Yeah, no worries. Thank you so much for that.
Thanks, Cameron.
Bye.
All right, that was Cameron Gilman, everybody. We'll get back to the chat here. We had a conversation there for a bit, got into the pleasure drive. You guys know that's like one of my favorite topics. It is the topic of my first book that I'm working on. Hopefully I get it finished in the next like 100 years or however long it's going to take me. But I think I'm about, I would say about half done. I've got my book half done. It's not going to be very long, but okay, where are we at? We're an hour and 36, and we've hardly taken a bite out of this this film. I'm not going to take on any more calls. We have 2 books left to win. Let's go through the chat here. You guys have been chatting away hard, figuring out the world, solving all world issues, and I'm falling behind because I was just bullshitting with Cameron for a long time on the phone. But I really enjoyed that conversation, Cameron. Please do call again. Okay, in total, we have given away 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 books so far in our live streams. We got 2 books to give away still. Up for grabs is Michael Shermer's Heavens on Earth. Amazing book for the skeptic in you. If you suffer from lack of skepticism in your life, you got to read Michael Shermer. And we also have Douglas Murray, who is featured in this watch party video that we're watching between Sam Harris and Jordan Peterson. Douglas Murray's in the middle, trying to reason what the hell these guys are arguing about and where they are at odds with one another. I really like Douglas's book is beautiful. Strange Death of Europe. I love the design. Really cool. Let's see. We got to read some of this chat. I'm seeing rapists. I'm seeing murderers. I'm seeing Duncan D's just asked the ultimate question. What evidence? This is a good one for everyone. What evidence would convince you of God's existence? So I remember talking to Richard about this when we were riding to a venue one time, and he had given some interesting answers, but his answers have evolved a lot. And when I say Richard, I'm talking about Richard Dawkins. His answers have evolved a lot over the years, and so have mine. And I haven't lived near as long as Richard, but I used to say that like, oh, it would take God looking through the clouds and being like, I am your all-powerful, mighty God, and you must do as I command. But the more I started understanding the brain, the more I understood that the likelihood that you would be hallucinating if this thing happened would be very high. The likeliness of this actually being a being reaching through the clouds and looking at you and saying these things in this big booming voice, it would be such an extraordinary claim to prove that basically you would have to say, I don't know what that was. That would be the most reasonable answer, even though it claimed it was a god, even though it could do these magical things. You don't know if you're being tricked. You don't know if you're on a trip. You don't know if you're dreaming. There's just too many things. So to prove that an actual God exists, I just don't know. I don't know. But I'll tell you, if there was an all-powerful, all-knowing, omniscient God out there, you would think that God would know what would convince me. But I have yet to come up with a good answer, and this could attest to the fact that this this concept of God, this idea of God, just doesn't fit within the framework of skepticism and a scientific worldview. It's just because of that simple question. It demonstrates it perfectly. It's like, well, fuck, this could just be an alien species that's fucking with me right now. Or it could, like, there's so many things that are more probable than an actual omniscient God existing. So, the best I could say is I don't know. That's my best answer. I don't know. One thing I could probably say is that probably forced indoctrination of some kind that would rewire big time neural pathways and the chemistry in my brain just through abuse, that may do it. That may be the best way to convince me that gods exist. Basically scare and torture the person into it. Maybe that's how you would get me. Maybe that's my answer. I was just thinking about this. Did someone just say, Zeben64 says, Michael Shermer is not a skeptic. How so? He's one of the most prominent skeptics on the planet. He's a useful idiot to push current paradigms. Paradigms? I think you just spelled it wrong. No, Michael Shermer is a great skeptic. Everyone should actually read Skeptic magazine or use Skeptic magazine. They always do really good articles on major issues around the world that people have problems with dealing with skeptically. God propositions, anti-vax, just all of the main issues that some people just lack even an ounce of skepticism in these issues. Let's see. Yeah, so I disagree with you, Zeben64. I think he's a great skeptic. You guys should really watch Michael Shermer and Steven Pinker on our channel, on the YouTube channel here. Oh, everyone, please. First of all, make sure you all have liked this stream. It really helps the stream out, helps the channel out. But more importantly, subscribe to the channel. We make awesome content here, and I am so proud of the content that we release. So please subscribe. Help us out in that regard. And hit the notification bell. That helps you out. If you want to support us further. Oh, and you actually can send us a super chat here if you want. We had a couple last night, and that was pretty cool. The people threw a couple bucks our way. Helps. But if you really want to help us in a different way, you can go to patreon.com/Pangburn and become a patron. And all the money that we collect from Patreon goes directly towards translating all of our videos and live events into Arabic and Spanish. And we have a very large Arabic-speaking following. A lot of people from Saudi Arabia, Iran, Iraq, India. So, yeah, if you want to support us, head on over there. Even $1 per creation helps us out a lot. We release about 4 creations per month. Those are my plugs. Yes, thank you, Devin. Also remember to smash that like button and subscribe for the homie Pangborn. And if you guys really want to experience a massive shit show and have a laugh, oh, what is this? Sorry, there was a bunch of comments being blocked, and I don't know why. Sometimes YouTube baffles me. If you guys want to experience crazy shit shows, head over to Twitter and follow me at the Pangburn. Sorry, I'm just reading. I'm getting a lot of notifications. I don't know what's going on. Yeah, I'm at the Pangburn on Twitter. Follow me. Come hang out. Chat with me on Twitter. I will definitely follow you back. And we need more skeptics and thinkers and rational people on Twitter. It is a cesspool of bullshit and cracked ideologies and viciousness and nastiness. We need more people that are willing to have good faith arguments. But you'll definitely get that if you come over to Facebook at Pangburn Inspire. Yeah, hit that like button on this stream, guys. It helps us out a lot. Someone just asked a specific question. It was interesting. I think someone asked what my relation... Oh, Zach Schreiber says, I've seen these debates between Sam and Jordan, but who are you in relation, Trav? I am the one who brought these guys together and produced this series of events between Jordan and Sam. And all of the events that you find on the Pangburn YouTube channel, I produce those events. And everyone, there are more events coming. More events coming. Tell me who you would like to see in conversation. They can be a really unknown intellectual. They can be extremely well-known. Let me know the kind of conversations you guys want to see. Yeah, I mean, Caleb, I get your frustration with Twitter. I get it. It's a fucking... It is a piece of shit. It really is. Twitter is a piece of shit where pieces of shit are able to thrive and spread just random nonsense without any recourse for anything they have to say. So it's yeah, it's not good. I've spent some time recently just basically meditating on what goes on in some people's mind on Twitter. And oh, WHWWD, I will send me a reminder. Oh, thanks, Atheist Bear, $1.99. Thanks for the super chat. Atheist Bear won the I believe he won the Peterson. Yeah, Jordan Peterson 12 Rules for Life. Awesome. Right on. Yeah, I will. If I'm not following you back, just send me. I don't know if my messages are available. Yeah, send me a message on Twitter or at the Pangburn on Twitter. Say a message and remind me, and I will follow you back. We need to... Skeptics need to unite, and thinkers and people who are interested in having good faith discussions, because it's so important. What we've done with the Pangburn Facebook page has gone into a point where literally it's just booming. People are coming there to have conversations, to dare to be wrong, to share their ideas, and people aren't going after them and fucking ad hominem attacking them like in some of these. And I'll admit, some of these fucking atheist pages that are just people trying to make fun of people and gang up on people and wolf pack mentality. But we engage in good intellectual, good faith discourse, and Twitter is not that right now. But we need... I think Twitter can be very useful. You have such good access and direct access to intellectuals on Twitter. It's literally like if you like respond to one of like Lawrence Krauss's tweets, there's a good chance he's going to write something and respond to you or like your response. You're actually getting him to read your responses. So you have like an incredible level of closeness to your favorite intellectuals. I just want people, when they're engaging on Twitter, to value evidence and to value good faith discussion. There's too much smearing. It's like if someone gets like and this is terrible. If allegations come out about someone that, oh, they were sexually inappropriate or with this other person, and these allegations have come out through BuzzFeed or whatever, the dog pile and vicious pack mentality that happens on that person to try and tear apart their career and rip apart everything that they are is just disgusting to me. Mob justice, yeah, yeah. Atidia Kothari says true. Mob justice is an increasing nuisance. Yes, and mob justice on Twitter is a fucking gong show, and you'll notice it. People target people without any recourse, and one thing you'll say is like if someone's being a bastard and they're saying terrible things about people, why don't people just sue them? But a lot of these people have fucking nothing to sue against. It's like, what do you want to like waste $10,000 suing someone who has fucking nothing? It's like nothing. That doesn't do anything for everyone. It's just, it's a terrible thing. But I think the best thing is to approach these conversations with good faith and try to stay within the realm of reason. I think that's the most important thing. Again, Atheist Bear, thanks for the super chat. $1.99. Love it. Actually, that's $1.99 American. In Canadian, it's telling me it's $2.60. Oh my God, we're gonna Pangburn lives on. So yeah, I want to produce more events. So let me know the conversations you guys want to have. I want to produce these conversations for you guys, the people who actually come and listen and want to engage in these conversations. I think it's really important. I usually let these go till about 2 hours. We didn't get very far through the video tonight, but we're just getting into the meat of the conversation. So I think I'm going to keep going through chat here, and because you guys, someone said your Twitter was suspended. My Twitter wasn't suspended. Zeben64 says, why living things require free will. A computer can't adapt to environment. They are programmed, determined. Wow, you have a lot to demonstrate here, Zeben. A life necessitates free will in order. So you just made a big claim. Why living things require free will. So the first claim, a computer can't adapt to environment. What makes you think that? We have a very advanced computer that is doing billions of calculations per second, and we are constantly adapting. This is how evolution works. Yeah, that's just, I mean, adaptation is a big part of evolution. So I think that premise has failed. They are programmed, determined. A life necessitates free will in order to read, adapt to environment, and keep on living. Yeah, what you're saying just isn't consistent with our current understanding of biology and neurology. That's just not the way. That's not the way things. The thoughts and ideas are happening to us, and we are adapting, and sometimes by instinct, to the environments we find ourselves in. Devin Williams says, Pangburn, I did not know you shot these. That's amazing, dude. Thank you so much. I love these. Everything on this channel. Of course. We're going to do more. Mark Garone, thanks for commenting, says, I don't see how the more scientists learn about the universe increases the implausibility of a transcendent consciousness source of life and consciousness. Holy crap, let me read this again. Mark Garone says, I don't see how the more scientists learn about the universe increases the implausibility of a transcendent conscious source. It increases the implausibility. Well, the thing is that if you're talking about the source, if you're going to make the source argument, you have to start from the position of what is the actual claim you're trying to make. You're talking about implausibility. Well, let's talk about actual claims. What actually does exist? Oh, Cameron Gilman, thanks a lot for the $2, and thank you so much for the convo. I really appreciate that. Thank you, guys. Really means a lot. Yeah, so Mark, get to the claim you're trying to make about what the source is, and then we can deal with that. Duncan D says, how can they be refuted if truth is subjective? Truth is not subjective. Truth is not subjective. We understand what is true through the evidence of reality and the scientific method. Zeben64 says it's the new atheist pack mentality. Pack mentality in any group anywhere is a bad fucking way to operate. That's not honest, good faith conversation. Yeah. Addison Joseph says, I do believe that there is a large group of people who claim atheism that have a separate closed-minded agenda. Yeah, so they can be atheist, and I think based on the lack of evidence for any gods, the atheist position is the correct position. But all the separate closed-minded agenda, that's outside of atheism, and closed-minded agendas don't tend to be good agendas to have if you're interested in having good, strong intellectual discourse. Yeah, but yeah, BuzzFeed is a fucking cesspool of like they release these huge narratives with these claims in them, not verified by a lick of evidence. This happens all the time, and yeah, and I mean I've been the target of these kind of publications as well, where they release all these claims, or they interview someone and these people say these claims, no evidence whatsoever if these claims even hold a lick of truth to them, and then people who are pretty damn good thinkers, they just buy it. They buy into these things that are being said without any evidence to verify them. It's mind-boggling, and Twitter seems to be the worst spot for this. And I think Twitter really does expose how poorly some thinkers do think when something is proposed that is for their agenda and they accept it before enough evidence would justify their belief to accept it as true. Twitter seems like a failed social experiment. I don't know what it is. I still have followers on Twitter, so I still post there. But there's a group of people, and I have seen recently that some of you guys have come and started defending me against defamation and really terrible claims that people make, and I do appreciate that. But stay away from the ad hominem attacks. That's what I was talking about earlier. Just stick with needing evidence for claims, and I think that's good. WHWWD just sent me a reminder on Twitter. I think all you guys should come over to Twitter, follow me on Twitter, and I will follow you back. And just it's you guys will see what I'm talking about, the craziness when it comes to lack of skepticism on Twitter. It's nuts. Addison Joseph says a computer can adapt to environment, of course. What else we got? All right, we got 3 more minutes here, guys. You guys have been so good. We got 2 books left. Who's going to win? Okay, well, Atheist Bear won the first book, and Atheist Bear took 12 Rules for Life by Jordan Peterson. The second book was won by Cameron Gilman, who called in to have a conversation. Now, the next book. They've been here since the beginning. They've been chatting a lot. They've been putting in a good, strong effort, and have been putting in a good faith effort. And I've been noticing this. WHWWD and Philosophy, you are the winner of one of these books. Tell us in the chat which one you would want. Your choice is between A Strange Death of Europe by Douglas Murray or Heavens on Earth by Michael Shermer. Tell us which ones you would like. And you guys, when the winner is chosen for the book, it doesn't mean that I agree with everything they've said in the chat. It just means this goes these book wins goes to people that have been engaging in honest, good faith conversation. I know all you guys are, but obviously I gotta pick some winners here. So WHWWD, let us know which book you want. Congrats to WHWWD. You really got to change your name, man. So we're just waiting for. I'm just gonna call him Hood or something. Is he even paying attention? WHWWD. Let us know. Whoop whoop, the winner. Once WHWWD, I'm just gonna say W. Once W Bush makes his choice, then we'll give out the second book here, of whichever one is left. I think he died. WHWWD. What book would you like? I have to chat it. I have to write it in chat. I think he died. Did he just like think? Did he just act like he won the lottery and like threw his whole desk up and just like went nuts? Okay, Heavens on Earth by Michael Shermer. Congrats to WHWWD. I am getting sick of saying that name. Wow. So head over to the Pangburn Facebook page. You know the drill. Send us a message. Remind us of who you are. Give us your shipping address, and we will get the book to you. And now for the final book for tonight. Okay, this one is going to an unsung hero, I think, of tonight's. He came out and said, "You know what? I normally am the cunt problem in the room when it comes to having a conversation. I'm willing to admit that. I am going to try to not be too much of a cunt here in this conversation." That was Caleb's revenge. Caleb's revenge, if you're still here, I think his last comment was "fuck Twitter." No, maybe he's made something for that. Caleb's revenge, if you are here, you have won the final book, Douglas Murray's The Strange Death of Europe. Caleb's revenge. You've been engaging. Caleb's revenge. You win the final book. It's like in sometimes it's like in the Grinch, the version with Jim Carrey. It's like sometimes this will go to the person, not necessarily who was the best, but the person who needs a backslap or a toast. And this goes to Caleb's revenge. Caleb, if you're still here, you have won. We'll give you a little bit of time to respond here. Yeah, I'm hearing crickets. I do have a runner-up if Caleb's still not here, because you got to be here. You got to stick around. You guys remember, hit the like button. Also, let me know who the hell you guys want to see have a conversation. We're going to be going through this chat, me and my Oompa Loompas, and we will be brainstorming and going through some ideas of some conversations to set up. But in general, keep fighting the good fight, guys. Let's see if he's still around. I'm not sure if it's been a while since we saw him here. Caleb's revenge. Are you here? Awkward silence. Awkward silence. Awkward silence. Okay, I think Caleb's had enough time. If he does come back and start flipping out and becoming the cunt that he explained he tries not to be, then we'll figure something out for him. But the winner, because I haven't seen Caleb, the runner-up, the runner-up winner is, of course, I think it's Mr. Brit Bong. Brit Bong. BRITBONG. BRITBONG. You are the winner of The Strange Death of Europe by Douglas Murray. You guys know the drill, Britbong. I really appreciate you've been chatting a lot tonight. I really appreciate all of you. Head over to the Facebook page, Britbong, at Pangburn Inspire, and send us a message. Remind us which book you won, and we will and give us your address, of course, so that we can ship it to you. Guys, this has been a great stream. I've really enjoyed this. You guys, you know, this isn't possible without you guys, so I really appreciate it. We're going to be doing a lot more of these. I want to go through every single live event I've ever produced and go through them with you guys. I think it's important to do for myself, and I think it's really good to inspire conversations like we've had today. Really appreciate it. Follow me on Twitter at the Pangburn. I'm all over Facebook. Make sure you come over to the Pangburn Facebook page. That's where all of our best conversations happen. Subscribe here, like this stream, all that jazz. You guys are awesome. I loved hanging out with you today. And we're going to catch up soon. I'm going to be away. I'm probably going to do one live stream as I'm in Mexico, but I'm going to be busy shooting. But yeah, just keep on having conversations, you guys. It's so important for the world. Good night, and let art and science inspire. Thank you, guys.